right, we're live, Chaz.
So exciting.
How do you feel? Like the fully set up before you even walked in the room. We're making advancements by leaps and bounds.
It is ridiculous. It is a ridiculous luxury is what it is. Just come sit right down, start talking surf.
The talent just shows up, hits makeup on the way in downstairs.
Just surf talk.
Yep.
It's unfortunate there's not one thing to talk about surf.
It's okay. We've got lots of life stuff to talk about.
Okay, good. Perfect.
So it's funny that you actually say that because every time Devin Howard's on the show, which last week he was, for anybody who missed that episode, should go back because
fantastic.
The feedback is always stellar.
I mean, he's one of the greatest human beings on earth, I think.
And the feedback is just more Devin. That's basically what it is all the time.
He's thoughtful. He's well-spoken. He's interesting.
Sagely.
The combination of saying provocative things, because he always says provocative things, but in a very measured, intelligent way. That's Devin Howard. Provocative / intelligent. I am provocative / stupid. What are those? What are those diagrams where? Oh yeah, it's something is to something. Those remember the those with the dots in the middle and then the dot. The SAT test. Yeah.
So, this wasn't in my notes, but I was thinking about this with the Democratic convention.
Yeah.
That last couple of nights. They're so well spoken, and this isn't all politicians, but specifically Kamala Harris. The Obamas, not particularly Biden. Biden actually can't quite hang with them.
Did you watch Biden?
Yeah.
I didn't. I miss Biden's.
Well, the thing is, they honestly give they probably read 20 pages for their speech. Don't miss a beat.
No.
There's
not a pause,
and there's no wrong inflection. There's no stumbling over a word. There's none of that.
No likes.
Which is so about substance versus
fluff.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm not sure that anybody said anything that was meaningful to me. I don't know what their policies are yet. Like, they didn't even discuss any of that.
But it sounds important.
And I felt good about it.
Yeah.
I walked away going, wow, I feel great about this, which is such a contrast to what the current, like, Trump and everybody he can't string a sentence together. Yeah. And he stumbles over words. He mispronounces words all of the time, like basic words, not anything technical. And so it's funny. I was kind of questioning my own abilities to assess and gauge and evaluate because in the end, I had these glowing feelings about the speeches that were made the last couple of nights, yet there was zero substance.
Are you going to watch the Republican National Convention now? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So you're doing your political homework.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. As it relates to Devin, though. Devin has substance and also delivers it in a really beautiful package.
Totally. I mean, he is the perfect man.
Yeah.
He gets better as the years go on, too.
The beard looks good.
He's a little more barrel-chested,
Yep.
I've noticed. A little
lumberjacky.
Thicker, which is a good look for him.
Yep. I agree. Well, as it relates to what we were talking about, there's no surf news. Every time he comes on the show, he's a planner.
Yeah.
So he hits me up, 5 days in advance, and he's like, what are we going to talk about? I'm like, whatever we plan out today will be old news by Friday. So I kind of wait till Thursday, Friday morning. And we can have like a general themes to discuss, and then we'll pick news stories the day of, essentially. And inevitably, a day or two before, he sends me a long email with a bunch of things that he wants to discuss or that are interesting to him.
Perfect.
And they're all surf related. And I always hit him back, and I'm like, we'll see if that comes up or not. And at the end of the recordings, he always complains that we didn't talk about enough surfing. I'll stop recording, and he's like, dude, do you think that's going to be okay? Is that a good show? Because I don't think, do we even talk about surfing at all? Well, he hit me up a couple days after we recorded, and he goes, I was surfing lowers, and 7 people paddled up to me to say how much they enjoyed the podcast. And he goes, I was shocked because, we didn't really talk about surfing. I go, dude, if you heard Kelly Slater was going to be on whatever, Joe Rogan or whatever, do you want to hear him retelling a heat that he surfed against Andy Irons? Or do you want to hear him talking about whether or not like what's going on with he and Kalani?
Sure.
That's what you want to hear.
Yeah.
And not that we're Kelly Slater status or anything like that, but it's just those things are relatable.
Sure.
Surfing a heat against Andy Irons isn't relatable to anybody.
Well, and I mean, how much surf really? Like, yeah, it's surf. We all love to surf, right? And we talk about surf when there's something worth talking about. But talking about surf when there's nothing worth talking about just makes surf even more boring,
Totally.
I think. I mean,
I agree.
gilding the lily. But the opposite, whatever the opposite of gilding the lily is.
What would be the opposite of gilding the lily?
Would be, because surfing is a lily. I mean, let's just call it gilding the lily.
Okay. Dane Reynolds was on Stab's interview show with Mick Fanning, Unplugged, I think it's called.
How'd he go?
It was awful. I mean, this is what we're talking about, is they are talking about surfing, but they're just, Dane's okay. Dane's marginally interesting. I think Dane is probably very interesting if you knew him personally.
Well, and I'd want to know about Dane. Dane as a father to me is interesting, right? Like,
totally.
What are your, do you wake up and make breakfast? What is your kind of child rearing thing?
And it appears that he does. It appears that he's very active.
Totally.
And so that part of Dane, I think, is more interesting. And I'm glad that, good on him for leaning into that, transitioning into a mature life rather than trying to hang on to surfing for the rest of your life. But Mick is not a great interviewer.
Yeah.
And
how did, we've talked about it, but how again did Mick transition to media? He seems like an odd choice or
the best choice. So this was actually in my notes because a lot of the themes that we're going to be discussing today are about legacy, what you do because your family name, legacy. And I was going to argue that Mick kind of timed his career absolutely perfectly.
Yeah.
When he came up, he was hard partying. So he got to enjoy that the raucous pro surf life that we all saw when we were growing up. And then not a moment too late, starts training, wins his 3 world titles, starts making the millions of dollars rather than the hundreds of thousands of dollars, exits at the right exact time. Gracefully made investments into creatures of leisure, certain things like that.
Even whiskeys and beers and whatnot. Or
exactly.
Whatever. Not whiskey, beer.
Yeah. So that those things that are actually going to earn him much more money over the long term than his career would. And then as soon as he retires, settles down, just had a kid. And I agree that you and I don't necessarily need him as a media person, but the broad market, absolutely. There's nobody with more credibility or who would do better in a sports center environment.
So do you think people tune into Mick talking about stuff, like interviewing people specifically, and think, wow, yes, that's what I wanted to know. Great. Or do they just like hearing Mick? I mean, what's the real draw?
The fact that his name is Mick Fanning is the draw.
Okay.
So I think where we're at now for this medium, the podcast platform, you need a big kind of eye-catching name to draw all of the attention. There's not a lot of substance once they listen, but people might still listen because they haven't heard Dane speak in the long form thing enough. So they'll listen initially. Hopefully they then find other more interesting podcasts that they then prefer, and I don't think Mick really has staying power. Yeah. I don't think Mick loves it. I don't think this is Mick's passion in life.
Well, that's the thing though, is he does so many, it seems these days, that it seems like he must enjoy it.
I mean, we're locked down. It's COVID. It's all that. Where I think he would best be suited is on the WSL desk.
In the booth?
In the booth occasionally. Or maybe if honestly, if the WSL did a rap show and he was there, like Sports Center does for basketball and they have all these ex-NBA players riffing, that's where Mick, I think, would have the most relevance.
Did you see the Cincinnati Reds broadcaster get caught on the hot mic?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Did you write an article about that?
I did,
I saw the article. I didn't know who the people were. So what happened?
He got caught calling a city, which he didn't specify, a bad word, a no longer allowable word for homosexual man, capital of the world. It is
Is the word...
rhymes with rag.
Right.
Rhymes with bag.
Right.
The bag capital of the world.
The fag capitals of the world. Reds Live, the pregame show presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing.
I pride myself and think of myself as a man of faith. As there's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos, it will be a home run. And so that'll make it a 4-0 ball game. I don't know if I'm going to be putting on this headset again. I don't know if it's going to be for the Reds. I don't know if it's going to be for my bosses at Fox. I want to apologize for the people.
And then so the mic is on. He says it. This place is, but he didn't say the city. This is the bag capital of the world. Then it's a pause, or one of them, and then he leads right back into whatever. He thinks the mic is now on, and so it's like, and whatever, and ad or whatever.
He didn't know the mic was on.
No, and so then, but he got caught. He realized it, I think, the next inning, and so he had to apologize. Well, he apologized while calling a home run. Somebody hit a home run. He's like, and that's out. And for those of you, I really apologize. I hold myself to a very high standard, and I let my standard down, and I'll probably never be putting this headset on again. So he knew he was going to get canceled right then and there. And
there's no chance you don't get fired for that nowadays.
Yeah, but back to Mick and WSL, I was thinking, they must all be so happy because, if Mick was in the booth, the whole rest of them honestly know a collective kind of 17 words. And so you're never going to get caught out on a hot mic if you're a WSL person. You're Joe Turpel. The hot mic is going to catch Joe Turpel saying, excellent range. That's a score that could have gone into the excellent range.
Right.
Is Joe Turpel's hot mic moment.
Right.
So that's pretty good for the WSL. They never have to worry about anyone in the orbit saying anything inappropriate.
Well, Mick would have said those things, would have said offensive things pre. It's interesting. He's really, I know this is particularly relevant to you because I know how you feel or you used to feel about Mick just being boring and vanilla and all that sort of stuff, his surfing being that way. But it's interesting that he's a complex figure. He's actually gone through, if you had a movie, he's gone through that traditional protagonist story arc.
Mick Fanning's character has evolved, but let's be honest, evolved totally boringly. Let's just get down to brass tacks here. He partied, he trained, he won, he invested in beer and whatnot. Like, we can pin his arc knowing exactly what the next hit is going to be just because it's such a traditional, i.e. boring arc. So I will argue that Mick Fanning, still the most boring surfer out there.
I can't disagree with it. I would love to just for the sake of this, but I agree. Now
it's great. I hope he's comfortable having a great, boring is not or being exciting is not the end all be all. It is for me, but doesn't have to be for Mick.
So I relate to Mick. If I was mapping my own life, I would map it exactly like Mick's. Yeah. It's like, have some fun, have some stability and then have, the next 30 years are covered essentially for you and your kids and your family.
But doesn't Mick wake up and just think, I know exactly what tomorrow is going to bring?
He does on a public level. I think he can do whatever he wants privately, which again this is the beauty of surf celebrity, is that you're not an actual celebrity.
Of course
you can still hide out and do bad things.
That's true. Not that doing bad things is what I want Mick to be doing. I just would love if Mick ever once threw a curveball. If Mick Fanning did something and I thought, well, that was unexpected, I'd be so shocked I might have a heart attack.
What would it have to be? What could Mick do?
If Mick, is he married to his baby mama? I
don't recall.
The fact that he just had a kid kind of changes this. But if Mick somehow showed up on the arm of Miley Cyrus, like that kind, caught out in a tabloid,
even that's not sensational.
But it'd be pretty good if Mick was with a proper, bizarre celeb. Like a Miley, not just a normal Australian one, right? Not somebody where you think, okay, Mick Fanning's dating her. If he was that paparazzi picture of some sweaty Malibu party and there's Mick Fanning in the pool just being weird, then I would think, oh, that's surprising. That surprises me, right? Or if Mick Fanning became the spokesperson for some big international, if he became a UN ambassador or something like that. Where the UN now sends Mick Fanning to, wherever, Ghana, to showcase something, right? Then I think, Mick Fanning is a UN ambassador. That's surprising.
Yeah, that is surprising.
Yeah, there's a lot of things Mick could do that would surprise me. Mick has never once surprised me.
Right.
Ever once.
No, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Boring.
Devin feedback. We did Barrel or Nah.
Yeah.
And he was talking about after surfing, his sexual energy is increased.
Ooh,
like,
very nice.
You know, and part of that is just exercising and like being in the sun probably stimulates your libido, period.
Sure.
But surfing specifically, there's also this spiritual connection. So a listener chimed in, you're going to love this. And he said, something Devin Howard said resonated. How after a surf, his Kundalini energy is flowing like crazy. I too have experienced this phenomenon. One time I was surfing along a remote beach in Panama and my woman was sunning her buns on the beach. I got so hot and bothered, I whipped it out and rubbed one out into the crystal blue sea. There was something magical about knowing my seed had been shared with the most feminine aspect of my life, that is Mother Ocean. Haven't shared this story with anyone till now. Love everything you do and listen to the Grit Relayed every week. Fraternally yours, Jay Martinez.
Fantastic, Jay Martinez. What a great story and so well written. So well written.
It's concise. It's to the point.
It's like not overly graphic. Like it's not particularly gross even. I mean, it is a loving moment between he and his girl and Mother Ocean.
Without his girl knowing.
No.
If Mick Fanning beat off in the ocean,
that's what I'm saying. Is that would be a surprise.
that would be a surprise.
That would-
The problem is he would never admit it, so you'd have to learn from some third party who saw Mick Fanning beating off in the ocean,
or somebody,
and that'd be problematic.
Yeah,
That's a sex crime.
And yeah. That's real funny. Yeah.
You know, I don't know if this is true everywhere outside of America, but sex crime has much too large of a net.
Well, because sex crime isn't sex crime also pedophilia and
Yes.
everything is considered a sex crime?
That's my point, is
Yeah.
that you could be peeing out, like driving along the highway, can't find a restroom, have to pee, pull over, pee on the side of the road, and a cop can give you indecent exposure ticket and you have to register as a sex offender.
Remember Mitch Colborne in Canada?
No.
You don't remember this one?
No.
Oh, this is like the dawn of Beach Grit. He, I think, was boozed and urinating in Canada, and a school bus passed by
Oh my gosh.
and got busted as I think a child sex offender thing,
Yeah.
like where it was like a big deal. And when he could never go back to Canada, and I think he somehow cleared it up. Like, I think it was so absurd. I mean, you know, very clearly he wasn't trying to expose himself to children. It
Right.
was just a boozy, bad luck. But yeah, the whole story was pretty funny.
That's
Worth
horrible.
going back into the archives.
Did any kids on the bus see his dick?
I don't think so necessarily. I don't even think. I think he was just in the vicinity of a school bus or in the vicinity of a school, or it was something like that. It was like he peed outside, either by a school or by a school bus or something, and it wasn't about people who saw him. It was just the proximity to children.
So it's a sensational headline that you could write about me saying we need to like criminalize sex crimes.
Well, but there should be peeing outside.
There needs to be strata because
peeing outside is a different layer.
that is, and also I want to reserve that title of sex crime for somebody who actually enacts a sex crime.
Commits a crime.
Yes.
Via the sex.
It almost diminishes the impact of the phrase sex crime, because if I hear somebody, hey, your friend so-and-so got busted for a sex crime, now I have to go, okay, well, let me dig in. Was he just peeing outside, or did he have child porn on his computer? Like, those are two different things, you know?
If you are a pee outside sex criminal, do you have to go announce yourselves to your neighbors when you move into a neighborhood?
Honestly, I think you do. Like, once you get that indecent exposure thing, yes.
Even indecent exposure?
So. Yes.
Ooh.
I'm pretty sure.
Is indecent exposure not just a misdemeanor? Misdemeanor Elliot?
Now, I don't want to act like an expert, but I'm
no
pretty
lawyer.
sure you do.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure you do. And again, it probably varies, certainly country by country, but state by state even. So,
Harsh.
but I do feel like that's been a story in the past where like so-and-so only did this minor thing and had to go tell their neighbors.
If this show was listened to by an advocacy group for public nudity, and they said, hey, we really appreciated what you said. We've been really trying for years to get this on the ballot to decriminalize public nudity or accidental public nudity or whatever, and we would like you to be our spokesman, would you take the job? They'd pay. You do public service announcements, so it'd be hi, I'm David Lee Scales. You may know me from the Surf Splendor podcast series, and I'd like to take a few minutes to talk to you about the importance of public nudity, or
I'll take the job.
Would you?
I'll take the job.
Okay.
I don't have a lot of prospects at this moment.
Yep.
It's not like other people are offering me public speaking gigs
Okay.
to represent something that is actually,
Yeah.
some good cause.
Okay.
So I'll take it.
So a public nudity ambassador.
Yeah. I'm
like-
cool with it.
okay.
And to be honest, I'm fine with the public nudity
Sure.
part.
So you're actually a believer.
Again, there has to be some rules and regulations, but yes.
Okay.
And I mean, honestly, barrel or nah, public urination.
Yeah. To be honest, I'm sort of a nah.
Are you?
Kind of, yeah. Like, when you walk, especially, it's real zone specific. Like, I'm a total barrel. Obviously, if you're out in the countryside and whatever, then have at it, right? Like on a tree, sure, yes. But walking by, like, Melbourne, Australia, walking by an alley that just reeks of urine,
Clearly.
is awful.
Clearly.
And especially one right outside a bar or a pub or a club or something like that, right? Where you just know, oh, man, there's just so many boozers out here. And of course, that's what happens. But yeah, I don't like it in that context, to be honest.
Clearly.
It's lazy and
There's
gross.
But absolutely. If you're a city dweller, use plumbing.
Yeah.
But if you're out in nature,
of
there's
course.
nothing more
Of course.
natural and gratifying and comfortable.
Wonderful.
I was, our family got together in the mountains like 2 weekends ago during Rumble at the Ranch, actually, which is why I didn't watch it. I was on the road. But my sister-in-law, they got stuck in 3 hours of traffic on the mountain highway because jackknife big rig.
Ooh.
Which, by the way, is the best descriptor.
Jackknife is really fantastic.
I like culinary descriptors too, like T-bone,
Yeah.
but jackknife is even better. So they got stuck for 3 hours, and she said she had to pee before they headed up the mountain, but everywhere's closed, like fast food and all that is closed, so she couldn't find a restroom at the bottom of the mountain. So it was like, oh, I can hold it for 45 minutes till we get to the house, and then got stuck for 3 hours and didn't pee on the side of the road.
Why wouldn't you?
I don't know. I
would you
couldn't
just
get her to
pull
tell
over?
me. They were all pulled over. The engines were off. There was a long line of cars that were stuck behind the jackknife. And I'm like, why wouldn't you just go into the woods? She goes, well, there's a long line of cars. I just wasn't comfortable doing it. I'm like, I couldn't hold my pee for 3 hours if I tried.
I mean, totally.
I would have picked any option other than holding.
Did you dig in any further about the psychological, like, is she embarrassed? Is she...
I think it has to do more with something like that. That has to.
Did she
Like
just really not have to go that bad? Did she like kind of have to and then kind of have to a little more? I was like, cool.
I think within 3 hours, anybody would have to go.
You'd think.
That's a long wait.
You'd think.
So I think that she absolutely had to go. I think some people, whatever the spectrum is of being comfortable with public nudity, some people are exhibitionists on one end of the spectrum, and then she might be on the other end where
prude.
even if she went behind a tree, her body wouldn't allow her to release it because she knows other people might be watching.
Did you ever think the word was a prune? Did you think prudes were prunes?
No, I
As
never
a kid,
did.
You never thought, oh, that person's such a prune.
No. Did you?
Yeah.
That's weird. I do have other things like that.
Yeah.
That like, certainly with song lyrics.
Sure. Oh,
you know,
man.
where you sing them
lyrics.
wrong for 20 years.
Yep.
And then you sing it aloud one time and somebody goes, what?
Huh? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, at any rate, back to Jay Martinez. Have you ever beat off in the ocean?
No.
Have you ever taken a dump?
No. Have you?
No.
Yeah. I don't think I could get like your sister. Was it your sister or sister-in-law?
In-law.
Like your sister-in-law, I don't think the plumbing, as it were, would work in the ocean.
So I pee every single time I go into the ocean.
Yep.
I don't think I've ever missed a time in the ocean. Really.
What if you have to, or oftentimes I find myself these days having to pee right kind of within the last 20 minutes in my mind. And if I'm in a wetsuit, then I think, dang it, I blew my chance because I'm not going to go in with a fresh-ish pee in the wetsuit.
Right. You need it more than 20 minutes so that it gets flushed out fully.
Over 20.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fully. Especially if you don't have access to a shower, right? Like if you're going straight to work or
Yeah.
something, man, that would
Gross.
be a nightmare. Well, one other question about beating off in the ocean.
Yeah.
For Jay Martinez and his girl who's sunning her buns on the beach, does she feel flattered by this move, by this gesture, or does she feel creeped out by the gesture?
I mean, I would think I think she would feel very flattered
Okay.
that she aroused such passion in her man's that it was uncontrollable. Right?
I would think so too.
Yeah. I think that is only a compliment.
Okay.
I don't think that, like, if she was not his girl, then creepy, right?
Right.
Could be.
For sure.
But, yeah,
Yeah.
the
All right.
relationship makes it complimentary.
I think, what did he say? Did he say where he was? Oh, yeah, he was in Panama. I was going to say, if you had a wetsuit on, that'd be a real effort. That would show extra intention.
Completely. I mean, to
Peel down a wetsuit?
peel down in water cold enough where you need a wetsuit
Yeah.
would be a real mission.
So I wanted to ask you how your birthday was. Last week you left the podcast early for your birthday celebration. What'd you do?
It was phenomenal. Went for a quick sail. Mostly just prepped the boat. We were supposed to go. We were going to go sail, but then time was running short. So
I was going to ask, did you show up late because you were here?
yeah,
Were they bummed?
No, it was kind of everybody kind of showed up late, and
Okay.
it was whatever. So we mostly prepped the boat, and then went back up with family the next day and did an overnight to Catalina. So
Oh
that
my
was-
gosh.
that was fun. Yeah, which was unplanned. It was a spontaneous overnight to Catalina.
Very cool.
Yeah, so fun. Have you ever sailed out to Catalina?
I mean, I've been to Catalina, but I've never sailed there.
It's wonderful. And then sailing back, we had like such perfect wind. It was howling. So yeah, hauling at a good 10 knots all the way back, basically from Catalina to Newport.
That's a really good birthday weekend. I mean,
It was
gone are the
best
days
ever.
of just having a nice dinner. with
No,
family.
and I did. I even had a nice dinner that night after hanging out at the boat, after podcast, and then went home, had a nice dinner.
Where did Cersei cook for you, or
No,
what's a
we
nice
went out.
dinner?
We went out to a new Italian place that opened in Encinitas that always had long lines. So somehow I guess all their seating is outdoor. So
Sweet.
yeah,
Well, happy birthday. I
Thank you.
noticed lots of birthday wishes on Beach Grit too, which is nice.
oh yeah, people are so kind. People are so kind about. Maybe I should be not rude about my birthday anymore. Maybe I should announce it every year like I did this year.
It's funny because a month ago we just did that.
I know, barrel or not. I was so not barrel, and I wouldn't have said anything except for the only reason I said anything is because I had to leave early.
And we knew anyways, and we had those gifts, so
Yeah,
you were
which-
going to get outed. But Ryan, the very next week that we had that conversation, Ryan Craig, surf photographer Ryan Craig, posted his own birthday on
Oh,
Instagram, and I had like 10 people send it to me, like, dude, how do you feel about this? And I go, I'm going to take Chaz's advice, double tap it
Yep.
so that he feels the love, and then
That's all he wants is love. That's all anybody wants.
this is long overdue, but here's your knife that the
I'm so
listener
excited
sent
about
in.
it. I'm so excited. Wow, it's like,
And that's the actual knife.
I mean, this is just absolutely incredible.
So this is
On flashlight too.
this is kind of an antique pocket knife, just to bring listeners up to speed. We did barrel or not pocket
Whoa.
knives,
Pocket
and a
knife
listener
with
sent
lighter
us
case.
3 antiques that he inherited from his uncle.
This is one of the finer knives I've ever seen. This Remington.
Isn't it?
I mean, my goodness gracious.
Bone handle. If you cut yourself on the podcast right now, this could be amazing.
It'd be good. How scared do you get, or do you remember as a kid, for those who are only listening, the knife where it flips open, then it has the safety push in the back?
Yeah.
But did you always know that, or as a kid, were you just always like trying to ram it back down?
I got
Or worried that you were gonna
I got
slice
a
your finger off?
thorough explanation from my father about the pushing in safety before I ever got to fondle a knife.
I mean, this knife, I love that Remington knives have a bullet as their logo on the knife. There is a bullet logo on the knife itself. On the
I think that's a
bone handle.
special edition one. I don't think they all do.
I mean, this is just, such a kind and thoughtful gift. Thank you, thank you, thank
Are
you.
you going to carry that thing around with you?
For sure. This is like you could really cut a man with this knife. This is not just a pocket knife.
No, it's like you could actually carry that in the woods and like skin a small animal,
Totally.
skin a rabbit.
Really stick a bear in the neck.
So I was talking about the idea of legacy and Mick Fanning having a kid and all that. I interviewed Sterling Spencer this week.
Oh, how'd that
and
go?
Really good. And his father,
Sturls.
his father's the godfather of Gulf Coast surfing.
Iconic family.
So I was thinking about you. You have a daughter.
Yeah.
Is anybody going to pass on the Smith name?
No.
You don't have any siblings that are?
Yeah. My brother
Does he have
has a son. Yeah.
Okay.
But who needs to pass on the Smith name?
There's enough Smiths already.
Plenty. There's plenty of Smiths around.
So you don't have any consternation about it?
There's zero pressure. Do you feel pressure to pass on the Scales name?
I do.
Scales is a rare name.
It's pretty rare.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have one biological brother, two half brothers, but one brother that shares the same last name, and he had a daughter, and they're not having any more kids.
So it's on you.
It's completely.
So you feel the pressure
a little bit.
What is the Scales name? The etymology from people who like weighed things?
I think so.
Okay.
We've looked into it, and we can't precisely identify that, but yeah, that's what we think.
What is your ethnicity? Your 23andMe. Did you ever 23andMe?
Yeah, I think my dad did. We did. My dad did a pretty deep dive, and we've been in America for a long time, but then we have English, German, Portuguese by way of Kauai.
Okay.
My grandfather was born in Kauai.
Wow.
So those are the main.
Okay.
Yeah. But the English is where the weights would have come in.
Yeah, you'd think.
Yeah, you were the blacksmith in the town.
Yep.
And my family was the one that was weighing things for you. They owned the scale.
In case you needed something weighed,
Exactly.
go down to the scales.
So I interviewed Sterling, and of course we talk about Jeremy Flores, who you and Derek interviewed on Dirty Water.
Yep.
And Jeremy's an interesting cat. I want to kind of interview Jeremy and do a deep dive. I think that I think he was troubled for a period of time, and I think he's grown a lot and he's come around. But I was just thinking about this Sterling incident. If it would have happened in 2020, he would absolutely get canceled. The WSL would probably ban him.
Sterling or
No,
Jeremy?
Jeremy.
For what? For not signing an autograph for a kid?
No.
Oh, for when he choked Sterling out.
And then kissed him on the lips afterwards, which is a sex crime.
Yeah.
So he would have got hit for assault and sexual assault.
Yeah.
Not that, I don't know that Sterling ever would actually pursue that case.
Sterling never would have, right?
And honestly, like the North Shore is a lot less litigious than Orange County or San Diego. But let me just give you the short recap.
Did Sterling tell the whole story on the podcast? Yeah, it's a good one.
It is a good one. And Sterling's grown and changed a lot since that as well. So his perspective on it is probably different now than it was then. At any rate, he posts that video of Jeremy Flores not signing an autograph for a kid, which is 45 seconds long.
Very funny though.
And it's not at all making fun of Jeremy.
No.
It's lampooning how serious we kind of take surfing. And it's really, there's no victim in the humor at all.
I mean, it could have been anyone. It's only...
Totally.
It just happens to be Jeremy, and Sterling happened to do a French accent.
Oh, whoa, Jeremy! Oh, whoa, Jeremy, wait up! Oh, whoa, Jeremy, it's me, Billy. Jeremy, hold on! Can I please have your signature? Please, I ran from over there, so far. Shoo, my knees, they sting. Go on, read some books. Oh, won't give me his signature. Oh, what do I do now? Why? No. I hate him. I hate you, Jeremy. I hate you. Dang it.
Jeremy's walking up the beach at J-Bay. A kid tries to get his autograph. Neither of them have a pen. So Jeremy kind of says, he points somewhere else and basically says, go get a pen, come back, and I'll sign it for you. Ostensibly, that's what Jeremy says. We know with hindsight. Sterling's voiceover is shoo, go read some books.
Yeah, go and read some books.
And basically, and it's titled Jeremy Flores Loves Children. So it gets 60,000 views overnight. Jeremy Flores instantly that next morning DMs or goes into Facebook messages Sterling with vitriol, saying like, take that down. This was, you shouldn't have done that, whatever. For 2 years, he's threatening Sterling, when I see you, I'm going to beat the shit out of you. So Sterling is living with these threats, and Sterling, because of the popularity of that, realizes the power of the internet, and YouTube was only 3 years old at the time. And like, he was the only one who really had that platform. Nobody else leveraged it in that way. He explained it as if he was the only one who had an Instagram account currently. So all of other surf media is just looking to him for these things, right? Furthermore, he was on Billabong, and Andy and Kelly were battling it out for world titles. Kelly and Jeremy are on Rip Curl. Billabong, Sterling, and Andy are on Billabong. So it was almost became a Billabong versus Quicksilver thing. So Andy is feeding Sterling like, hey, jab Kelly again. And so it went from not only just making fun of Jeremy, not even making fun of, but lampooning, using Jeremy's likeness to lampoon, and then using Kelly's likeness and Photoshop all of the time. And for these 2 years, and this thing's just growing and growing and growing. And Jeremy's getting more angry because he was the impetus for Sterling's newfound fame. Eventually, Sterling's at the Surfer Pole Awards. Jeremy comes up behind him without Sterling even knowing. He gets an arm laced around his neck. He feels an arm. And the next thing you know, he's laying on his back, opening his eyes, coming to, and Jeremy's kissing him on the lips.
Yeah.
And looking at everybody else going, hey, see, we're friends. And apparently what was happening was, earlier in the year, Jeremy Flores got suspended by the ASP at the time for assaulting a 16-year-old on the Gold Coast with Sonny Garcia.
A fight has broken out between elite surfers and a local at Burleigh Heads. These sickening pictures were shot by an onlooker. The altercation involves French professional surfer Jeremy Flores and American legend Sonny Garcia.
Oh my God, someone stop him! Yeah.
The man who filmed the fight claims he was then chased by Garcia.
And then I started running, and he just ran after me and jumped with his foot on my back, which made me fall on the floor. And
Garcia holds him in a headlock, drags him underwater before repeatedly punching him in the head.
Oh my God, someone stop him!
Garcia responded badly after 2 locals entered a verbal stoush with his 16-year-old son. World number 9, Jeremy Flores, was riding with Garcia Jr. at the time. He says he didn't throw the first punch.
I didn't swing first, I didn't look for trouble, and I wasn't just going to turn around and run away.
Witnesses say they saw Sonny Garcia run nearly 100 metres to the fracas, where he choked the local surfer until he was nearly unconscious.
The ISP took me out of the event because they think we shouldn't do violence, and I agree with that.
The ASP has also released a statement saying both Jeremy and Sonny have been referred to their Rules and Disciplinary Committee. Police are investigating. So far, no charges have been laid.
There was a confrontation in a free surf, which we remember and there's video of, where I guess the 16-year-old got in an altercation with Sonny Garcia's kid, Stone. And then Sonny jumped in and started choking the 16-year-old. And Jeremy jumped in somehow and was involved in the scuffle. So the WSL, the news media got the footage, played it on the nightly news. The ASP at the time took action and fined and I think banned Jeremy from like 2 events or something.
Yep.
Suspended him. So that happened to Jeremy, or Jeremy was involved in that earlier in the year. So now late in the year, he enacts this vendetta against Sterling. Sterling's unconscious on the ground. All of the surf world is at this event at the cocktail party looking at Sterling passed out on the ground. I think Jeremy then has a moment of clarity and he sees the trouble that he could potentially be in. And that's when he plants a kiss on Sterling to feign friendship. So Sterling wakes up and is confused by all of it. And Jeremy leans into his ear and goes, hey, tomorrow night at your movie premiere, because he had a big movie coming out, that's when I'm really going to beat the shit out of you. Like, you're going to really, I can't do it here because I'm in trouble at this moment, but I'm really going to beat the shit out of you tomorrow. He's Jeremy, because Jeremy seems to be narcissistic. He thinks that this movie premiere is going to be more of making fun of him. So he goes to the movie premiere with a bunch of Hawaiian heavies and they're standing in the back guarding all the exits, waiting to see what happens in this movie. And then they're going to enact revenge. The movie was nothing to do with Jeremy. It was all just kind of surf hijinks. And Jeremy realized, oh shoot, maybe none of this was about me, and maybe I'm gonna look like an asshole if I beat him up for this guy's a clown.
2 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, like Sterling is these silly glasses on and bangs with long hair, wearing a Aloha shirt. He's clearly just a court jester. If I continually beat him up, I'm gonna look like the jerk. So Jeremy actually buys Sterling a drink, and they hash it all out over a drink, and it's squashed or quashed. But, you know, kind of to my earlier point is if Jeremy would have done this now in 2020, this is an assault charge for sure, and even a sexual assault charge with the right lawyer or the wrong lawyer.
But Sterling would have never. Sterling would have never pressed charges. Like only Ashton Goggins in the surf world is the kind of guy who's looking to press charges. I think that's why what Ashton did was so silly and egregious. But I don't think, and the police could not have chased it up without. I mean, they could have, but without Sterling as a witness to this thing, it would have gone nowhere.
And by the way, I'm not recommending that Sterling would press. I like that. This is a worse world that we're living in now.
Well,
I'm fine with the fact that
it could have happened back then.
Yeah, I'm fine with the fact that Jeremy did it because honestly, like that's for them to sort out. Sure. I'm not even making a judgment. As the viewer, it was clear to me that Jeremy was overreacting and that Jeremy is, number one, a narcissist. He's got anger issues that he's misguided, and that's for him to reconcile and deal with the personal people in his life because they're the ones who are going to cop the brunt of it. And but he was overreacting. To me, it took him down a peg in my book. The Sterling's video did not take Jeremy down a peg. It only added to the awareness of Jeremy as a pro surfer. Jeremy choking two people out in a year, one of which was a 16-year-old and the other of which was a court jester, made Jeremy look bad. But it was Jeremy's own actions that made him look bad.
But then talk about, back to Mick Fanning and boring arcs, Jeremy's arc, I think, has been totally fantastic.
Exactly.
Just because
I'm fine with that.
I feel that Jeremy, you know, I think he had a tough childhood growing up. He, you know, is still a phenomenal surfer, was interesting on tour, continues to be, I think, interesting as a personality post-tour. I mean, I guess he's still on tour. It's hard to think of, even remember he's on tour anymore.
It's all post-tour.
I know, everything is post-tour.
I completely agree. I like Jeremy as a figure, and he's a complex human being, and he actually wears his heart on his sleeve.
That's what I love about it. Even if he's wrong for feeling a way, I feel that he both embraces whatever that feeling is, and then also embraces okay, I was, my bad.
Completely.
Just like with the whole Sterling thing. Yeah, I remember hearing that from Sterling and being like, good on Jeremy. He didn't just like say, well, you and I have beef, so I have to see this through no matter what. He thought about it and thought, maybe I was right to feel angry or aggrieved about being made fun of or perceiving that you were making fun of me. But now that I see, more stuff, hey, we can be cool.
Yeah.
Beautiful. A beautiful story.
Yeah. Don't you, aside from Sterling pursuing legal action in 2020, if this had happened this year, the public would have canceled Jeremy.
Yeah.
Right?
I think white man on white man violence, you can kind of get away with it, I think. I don't think that's so cancelable. I think if Sterling would have been obviously a woman or a minority or a protected class, then I think that's cancelable. But I think white man on white man violence is like, oh, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
I think that is one of the last frontiers of uncancelability. I think if Joe Rogan and Kelly Slater really had a slap out on the podcast, people would be interested, but nobody get. If Joe Rogan went and just punched Kelly Slater in the face,
you're right,
really hard, people would think, ooh, bad luck, but Joe Rogan would not get canceled for that.
You're right. That makes a lot of sense. I'm wondering, this is related to what we discussed with Devin, where you were saying, like cancel culture. My point is, when is the privileged white male gonna slap back? And so I don't care at all about this, but we catch flack. I was thinking in the comments section, we catch flack. I get a lot of flack for vocabulary and way that words are presented, or using the word like too much.
Yeah.
Or somebody on our last episode said they stopped listening because of the way that I say didn't.
Yeah.
I pronounce it didn't. And so they unsubscribed. And I was thinking about that and I'm like, if there was a minority group who spoke a certain way,
Yeah.
which every minority group does, surfers as a minority group have a certain way of speaking,
Sure.
you know, whatever. If there was a minority group that spoke a certain way and you from a public position in a comment section anywhere pointed the finger at the minority group and said, hey, you're speaking wrong. Oh my gosh.
That's cancelable.
YouTube would cancel you as a user for making that comment.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
For sure. I mean, it would be tinged with racism,
Totally.
with homophobia, with transphobia,
Totally.
with misogyny, all of it.
So I was thinking about that and I'm like, wow, we as privileged white males, I don't even feel a need to slap back because I get it. And like, I get annoyed by little tics that people have. And so I'll stop listening to stuff. But we should like fake it even. We should just like go on a rant of trying to fight for our white male privilege just as a gimmick.
So the problem is, I think the people who do that are like Hannity and Ben Shapiro and these guys. Like, I think conservative figures, like, you know, popular entertainment figures.
Yeah.
This is what they do. This is part of the game, is like this being aggrieved, you know, at how the, you know, white male is being whatever, pushed in a corner.
Right.
Which only comes off, I think, not as very entertaining, but just kind of shrill and weird. Like when you see somebody of a real, I don't want to say dominant, you know, but whatever. Like white male has been top of the pile for a long time.
Just a protected class.
Yeah. And so when all of a sudden that top of the pile guy takes on the clothing of the oppressed minority, it just looks odd.
Yeah.
Like we just
So
got to.
do you think Shapiro and Hannity are playing a character, or do you think that's their natural state?
I think they're playing to an audience. They're playing a character to an audience, and where does the character end and the person begin?
I think they're playing an amplified version of themselves. Maybe.
But even like what's his name who got canned for sexual improprieties at Fox?
Everybody. Bill O'Reilly?
Bill O'Reilly. That's what I was thinking. Bill O'Reilly.
Roger Ailes. Should we start at the top?
I mean, we could go all the way down. Bill O'Reilly, I feel, is Bill O'Reilly character. Who knows what he really thinks about anything?
Yeah.
But that's the thing, too. Once you've been playing this character so long, you know, maybe the character just becomes who you are.
Yeah. I mean, I joke about us taking on that role. I couldn't do it. Like, I don't have enough of it in me to even fake it.
I'll catch DMs of people angry at me for being on the perceived back foot for the whiteness, or being apologetic for who we are, for being a white male.
Really?
Yeah, like people saying you should be fighting harder for, you know, this is unfair, et cetera, et cetera.
Huh.
Where I'm thinking the fight is when you look like a real, let's just be honest, a loser, right? Like, that's not for white males aren't supposed to go out there and fight for our rights. We have our rights. Like,
yeah,
it's all is what it is, right? I mean,
yeah.
I
get negative questions about you.
Yeah.
None of them are from that angle, though.
Yeah,
they're always about like, is he really an asshole? Is he really that like strongly? Does he feel that strongly about Eric Logan or Kelly Slater or any of that stuff? You know?
Yeah. What do you say? Yes.
I don't want to pull the curtain back too much publicly.
Yeah.
I always tell people directly, but I guess I'll tell it now publicly is no, I think that you also are playing a version of yourself, or you have a persona that you play to, and you're also a family man, like a very kind of sincere and earnest family man. And that's where your focus is. And you've never been anything other than kind and truthful and respectful to me and anybody that I bring around, or type of businesses that I kind of engage us in. You've always honored your obligations, responsible.
But I really do get mad at Kelly and Elo and all of this stuff.
Well, actually mad. You do it all in jest.
But it's not, I mean, I guess like stinking Bill O'Reilly, where does, you know, the character stop? And like, once you've been doing it long enough, like, I think my passion bubbles near the surface. And so I get truly impassioned about a lot of things. And
I'm fine with impassioned, but not angry.
I won't be angry. I'll get really fired up though. I'll get legit fired up. I mean, to the point where, regularly, the wife at home is just like, oh no, like if anyone sees me start to go on a rant, they know like, oh no, here it comes. Like, and then it'll go out just as quick as it catches. But
how much of that is for comedy's sake though?
It's not like, I mean, I'll do it, unpublic. Yes, a lot of it is like funny, I think is on the, what is it? Maslow's pyramid of needs.
Hierarchy of
needs. Was it Maslow?
Maslow.
It's
funny. There's Pavlov and there's Maslow, but it's funny because I brought that up to Devin. Yeah. I just referenced that off the cuff last episode.
The hierarchy of needs. Funny is like my peak thing for like, that's what I like. So if something is funny, so everything I do, I guess, aims at being funny, even when I'm impassioned.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's because I do the ranty thing too, but it's always just to like add some levity to the evening.
Yeah. Mine doesn't provide much levity, I think. Like I think
it just stirs everybody up.
Just people roll their eyes and be like, oh no. Like the other day, one of wife's friends came over, and she is a very smart woman. It was right after old Cam was I still don't know how to say her name. And now it's in my head that I'm saying it racistly.
Kamala?
It's not Kamala, is it?
Kamala?
I think it's It's such a racist even conversation to be having.
No, it's not.
Trying to figure out Kamala, whatever.
Saying somebody's name isn't racist.
She had just been chosen, and I was ready to tee off on this, on it being a dull choice, right? A safe choice, a choice not in line with the progressive, part of the party's ideals, and that's the Democrat, that party should be aiming progressive, whatever I was going to start ranting on. And she was like, no, I need one day to, this was a watershed moment in history. The first African-American woman, vice presidential nominee, I was just ready to tee off. And I kept trying to angle around to get into my tee off, and she would keep heading me off at every single pass, not just with direct no's, but like real intelligent subject changes where
she was 2 steps ahead.
She knew me good enough too, and knew that she could throw me this bone and I would go chew on that bone just to get me off. And then she left after a couple hours, and I was like, oh, I never got to rant about old Cam.
That's a good wife.
Yeah. It wasn't even the wife who was doing it. It was the friend. The wife was just sitting there like going, gritting her teeth.
Okay. Gotcha.
Waiting for me to be an ass.
So this was a kind of tangential thought about Sterling, but I can apply it to you too.
Yeah.
What is marrying up?
Oh yeah.
Like marrying way above your weight class. Sterling married an 11.
Yes. Sterling is way above his weight class.
Yeah. And somebody DM'd that to me. They're like, hey, good job not asking him the obvious question that we're all wondering, which is how did he lock down an 11?
But I'll tell you, humor for those listening. People like funny. And I think over the long haul, keeping somebody laughing, like in an engaged kind of laughing, even when they get annoyed, is a good skill for people to have.
Yeah.
Like I think funny in a room, this is an arrogant thing to say. But I think I could, if it was all, in a room with a really handsome guy, I feel I could best him by being funny.
Absolutely.
Get more attention.
Dude.
Yeah.
Women, I mean, I hate to speak for all women right now, but I will. Handsome is overrated for dudes. Dudes who are spending all their time in the gym or trying to look pretty are completely missing the point. And it almost feels like, I know that being in my mid 30s, dating and knowing girls who are dating and kind of gauging their feedback is they put a wall up. If they go on a date with a handsome dude, they're thinking player, trying to get into my pants. Who else is he dating right now? If he says something too nice, is he just feeding me lines? Whatever. They want the schlubby dad bod dude who had to actually invest in his career and spends time with his mom, all that sort of stuff, because there's less threat there.
Yeah.
You know, so they're a lot less concerned about if you turn out to be the nice guy who can crack a joke and keep them laughing and you're good looking, that's fine. But they have a hard time lots of times getting through that initial veneer of the good looks.
The thing, though, is I feel oftentimes a beautiful woman will go with a kind of schlubby guy because the safe choice, let's say, and then, share a passionate, cheaty night with the handsome guy somewhere down the line. Like the schlub guy, that's where humor comes in.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
But if you're schlubby, see, Sterling is a good-looking man too. Sterling puts
Agreed.
on funny costumes, but Sterling's a traditionally handsome man. You know, Sterling's sister is a famous actress.
I did not.
You didn't?
No.
What?
Who is she?
She's Abigail Spencer. She is the. Do you remember? Did you watch Mad Men?
Yeah.
Remember, she's Don Draper's second or third big love interest.
I'll have to look her up.
She's like proper, not A-list, but like upper B-list actress. Yeah,
Okay.
famous. But yeah, all to say, and very beautiful, right? Sterling is a handsome man too. Because Sterling plays the funny card, his good looks, his natural good looks get overlooked.
He plays down his looks.
He does.
Yeah.
Handsome man.
Yeah.
Good surfer too. He rips.
Well, that's the other thing is like his movies that he's made, his feature films, were always he was always aiming for the joke, but it never undermined his surfing.
Yeah.
Like his surfing always shone through, and the jokes were never, he never undermined his own surfing.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. It wasn't like he was out there wearing a costume trying to do an air. Like Jamie O'Brien almost undermines his own surfing by riding a soft top or wearing a T-Rex outfit trying to get barreled in it, you know? And he's a better surfer than Sterling is, but Sterling always kind of let the surfing shine through. So I always appreciated that. I had more thoughts on good-looking dudes.
Yeah, what?
I don't know. I forget now.
Let's get in.
I forget
Let's
now
get into
what they
good-looking
were.
dudes.
Something that you were saying about the girl is liable to cheat. I think women can develop physical attraction through getting to know and love somebody.
It's true.
So the initial instinct is he's not traditionally handsome, but after spending weeks together and getting to know his humor and all that sort of thing,
he becomes
physically attractive.
Completely. I totally agree with you.
I don't know that dudes have that.
When I met my wife, I told her my nose is crazy crooked. I've been bashed in the face a lot. I am not your traditional Adonis, but give me time and I'll be real handsome.
I'll grow on you.
I'm a grower. That's what I told her. I am a grower. And she like kind of mocked initially, but yeah, 10 years on and we're still married.
I'd have to talk to her to see if she's actually attracted to you at this point.
The thing, she may not be now. I may have pushed too many buttons at this point, but also to the schlub dude though, the dude who thinks that girl falls in love with him, whatever, safety pick, and he doesn't, like, if you're the schlubby guy and or the not traditionally good looking guy, you always have to be bringing at least a B game to the table, right? You can't be lazy. You have to be engaged. You have to be, that's when it goes to Cheatsville, is when the schlub does such the bare minimum,
right,
that not only is he not attractive, there's zero value added.
Completely. And so I would advise, just be yourself. If you are a hard worker, that's what you need to lead with.
Hard work.
Yeah. Or if you are funny, that's what you need to lead with. Because if you feign humor and hard work, you're going to get found out in whatever. Maybe it's 6 months, maybe it's 6 years. And that's where Cheatsville is.
The non-funny guy who's trying to be funny is hard. It's a hard thing to handle.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. In surf news, whether or not you want to discuss these things, I'm fine with. There's wave pools are bad for the environment. You and I never discussed Can Dewey Holdings and the whole business venture and John Florence launching a surf brand. I've got updates. We're gonna do the Surfing the Net World Rankings.
Okay.
Next
Perfect.
show.
Okay.
Not this show. I decided updating it weekly is a little too frequent, so
Because
we'll update next show.
It's a great point because sometimes the shifts are just not happening
Minuscule.
greatly within 1 week.
Right.
Over 2 weeks though, they'll be shift.
But the big news that happened a week and a half ago was CJ Hobgood sent you and I a video via text showcasing his trophy collection, and he's going to give one of his trophies from a surf comp that he's won to our winner of the Surfing the Net World Rankings.
That's
the World Championship Tour, the Internet World Championship Tour. So, hey boys, listen to the podcast. Made me think. I got a lot of trophies we can give away. We got a Hang Loose. Where's that from? Fernando de Noronha. We got a France CT Rip Curl. Brazil CT. Bundy Pro. We got Rip Curl Cup. We got this one you can give away for the video awards. Look at that one. We just changed the plaque on it. So yeah, we got trophies to give away.
So it has to be. We have to stick CJ Hobgood's name. It has to be the brought to you by CJ Hobgood or something.
His name is currently on the trophy.
Okay, good. Yeah, but exactly. So it should be the title sponsor of the contest. It's the CJ Hobgood Memorial Surfing the Net. Yeah.
He said he already gave away his world title trophy, which there's got to be a story there, and we'll get him in the conversation maybe at the end of the year.
Yeah, perfect. I mean, CJ for the viewing party for the announcement. I mean, we should throw a party, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, an award ceremony.
Live broadcast, etc.
So that's exciting. But among those other stories, is there anything we need to discuss? Surf pools being bad for the environment, I think we all knew.
I mean, that's
what's the story there?
Well, so Surfrider Europe came out, and I think it was actually an older story. I think it was from last year.
Oh, it was.
I think it was. Yeah, I don't think it was new. But you know, when you're reading the date when something comes out from something European, it's very easily to get confused with the way they swap the day and the month.
Oh yeah.
So it might have been new, and I just misread it. Anyway, or it might have been old. But yeah, it came out and said, without shadow of a doubt, wave pools are bad for the environment. Which again is such a no-brainer, and why can't Kelly and these guys just admit? In some things I care, and some things I don't. I care. I'm human, right? Like the fact that you cannot say, hey, yeah, look at, when it comes to clothing, I made Outer Known as sustainable as I can, even though any clothing is causing damage to the environment, right? Like,
tremendous.
I am creating things that nobody needs one more of, right? What I should be doing, if I want to be doing this, is start a store that resells, thrift clothes or whatever. I go pluck out good surf thrift clothes and resell those, because I am actually recycling at that point. I'm not creating more waste, et cetera, et cetera. But at least with the Outer Known thing, you could claim, okay, see green there. Ostensibly. Pools, on the other hand, very clearly, it's something that is not necessary. There's no way in the world that you can make the claim that the good that pools do outweigh their, especially when there's a stinking free ocean. And so that's generating
completely
waves.
a business venture.
And so Kelly, to greenwash it at all, to me, does great damage to true environmental things. And I don't see how Kelly, he should not ever brand himself as an environmentalist. And it's funny because I've gone back through, as I really harp on Kelly on this environmental thing or on his hypocrisy. I've gone back through and thought, okay, wait, does Kelly ever really claim to be an environmental ambassador, or is this something that we've layered on him?
I've thought about that too.
Kelly comes out all the time and says that. Kelly, in multiple interviews, will talk about burnish his environmental bona fides, right? Like he talks about it more than anyone. Totally. And so, screw you.
When he was attacking the refugee, in the DMs, he says, I'm an environmentalist.
Yes.
Those are his exact words.
He is a self-defined, and so very clearly deluded. I mean, deluded to such a degree where I wonder what you could get over on Kelly. If you could say, hey, Kelly, we are going to drill oil, lots of it in the Arctic, but this is going to be the most environmentally friendly thing to do, because with this oil, we are going to, create recyclable plastics and da-da-da-da. If you could, what you could snow Kelly on environmentally. I bet you could do anything and tell him it's environmental, and he would not only claim it if you paid him enough,
right,
but advertise that drilling in the Arctic is such a gift to Mother Earth.
Kevin Miller from the Florida Surf Film Festival hates that but mainly you, harp on Kelly, and wants to call in and be the voice of Kelly.
Yeah.
And I think what he meant was just offer a counter argument against you. But I asked him, I'm like, how is your Kelly impersonation? Can you just call in as Kelly?
That's totally great.
And he said, yes, it's actually good, his impersonation. And they're both from Florida.
Yeah.
So there's that.
The isms.
So I think we need to have him on.
I totally agree. I want to be shown the light. Like anything. I don't like my entrenched positions, right? When I really entrench somewhere, I want somebody, I'm always begging for somebody to come show me the way, show me how this thing is good.
Yeah.
But a guy like Kelly always keeps pushing me further into my already entrenched position. Like if Kelly would come out and say something non-self-gratifying at some point, I would think that is awesome. If he would give a compliment that was legitimate, if he would not make everything about himself, if he would say, look, yeah, my carbon footprint is humongous. I'm out here telling people to be environmental. I looked at myself in the mirror. I realized how many flights I took this year, how much jet skis I drove around, how many boats I drove, how many cars I drove, how many surfboards I made, how many wetsuits I threw away, on down the line. And come to find out, I'm not an environmentalist. I live like a bastard. How great would that be?
To what end? I mean, there's no point in him doing that. And there's also no point in him throwing stones back at you and engaging with you.
Well, of course not. There's no point in him engaging me at all.
Yeah.
I would just like something honest from Kelly Slater.
Yeah.
I feel that and so Kevin Miller could claim whatever he wants, but I feel that somebody, a listener, please get me out of my position.
That the gauntlet is laid. This is everybody's homework for the next week.
I will totally acquiesce. I will come and apologize, mea culpa, to Kelly Slater live on air. If somebody, and not one thing, don't say, well, Kelly did this one time, or Kelly gave.
I know. Didn't he offset his carbon footprint by like committing to planting trees or something like 5 years ago?
I'm sure that was floated, something like that.
Okay.
And I'm also sure, or I'd be surprised if it was ever acted upon.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, if somebody would show me something that Kelly was quietly giving money to some foundation, like I think he's tight, right? He doesn't give money. He doesn't give time. Anything that I see him doing publicly, it's always good for Kelly, right?
Yeah.
Like, but if somebody said, no, Kelly Slater quietly, goes to my church on Sunday morning and teaches Sunday school to the handicapped kids.
That's what we need to hear from
I would say,
yeah,
I am sorry, I was wrong.
Right. Okay. Listeners, send in your feedback.
Yeah.
And knowing, I don't know, on a very cursory level, a number of people who have been close to him over the years and surf whatever, I don't hear glowing reviews.
Never once. People
that have been close to him are, don't feel like he's the best friend.
The people I know who are close to him are oftentimes the same people egging me on, saying, go push further.
Right.
He's like a full-on...
Which is understandable.
He's a
like,
shallow jerk.
Yeah, but I say, knowing he has 11 world titles for a reason. You have to be willing to step on people's throats to earn 11 world titles and to, run big businesses and stuff like that.
But back to boring Mick Fanning. Look at his gentle arc. As boring as it is, it's sweet, right? Like it feels like Mick won his titles. He did his thing. But now he's, got his beautiful child and starting a little family and is a podcaster. Like I'm gonna go take back my boring thing. Mick's boring arc I mean, it's still boring,
Yeah,
but
it
it's
is.
exactly the kind of sitcom that this world needs right now. A comforting, I know what the story's going to be. In this day and age of surprise and weirdness, right? Now everybody's wearing masks outside. Everybody's like, I heard for the first time yesterday, which apparently I should have known. Have you heard about ableism?
No.
So ableism is, apparently, I am a very not smart person for not being aware of ableism. Ableism is, of course, the rudeness with which people who are able to do something treat people who are unable to do it. So, me getting mad at somebody in a wheel, or not getting mad, but like, hey, wheelchair bro, like, I can walk. Look at me walk. Isn't this cool? Is ableism. I don't know, remember where I was going with it. Like these concepts are so confusing to me. Like I'm thinking, okay, so it's bad. It's now bad to be able to walk. And I know it's not bad, but I'm supposed to somehow I'm confused every day. I'm culturally confused. I am scientifically confused, politically confused. It's just a barrage of like weird happening, right?
Yeah.
Mick Fanning's tired, threadbare arc.
Tried and true.
It's like a warm blanket. You can just go cozy up in the Mick Fanning story. Not one surprise around any corner.
Yeah.
It's
a story of old fashioned work ethic and just seeing things through to the end. And, but by the way, to be honest, all of that confusion that you're feeling, doesn't undermine what I just said. Like hard work will see you through.
Oh, sure.
Being reliable will get you allow you to advance your position in life, all those things. And all of that confusion, what I'm more worried about is that it infects the youth, my younger brothers growing up, your kids, they maybe weren't exposed to the same things that you and I were exposed to, where it's, working hard, seeing things through, looking at somebody in the eye when you're talking to them, having a firm handshake. Those things they don't know, and they're confused by everything. So they invest heavily and impassionately in this thing for 3 weeks, and then the wind blows a different direction. And so then they jump on that hashtag and bandwagon for a few weeks, and years go by, and it's like they haven't accomplished anything. They're not grounded at all. And
as long as they're funny, it'll all be okay.
I guess so.
Just keep being funny.
I guess so. Nothing's funny. You can't be funny anymore because it's offensive.
Well,
you'll get canceled.
It's true.
So the other final thought on the Sterling Spencer thing, because it kind of relates to all of this, is that era, mid 2000s, surfing was so core. Like there was a few brands and 3 media companies, essentially, maybe 5 at the most. And everything was insulated within those things. And the people that they chose as being the best surfers, they were going to promote the crap out of, and everybody would just bow down and nary say a bad word.
Well, because, since it was all core, I feel, they knew who the best surfers were, right? And so they were serving up the surfers we wanted to see.
Yeah, but I would argue against
too
that.
Many surprises. Like the Chippa Wilson coming out of the stab little weeds or whatever was a real surprise, right? For me, at least. Like, wow, this talented guy was hiding.
So I think there were always those guys, but what they were funneling through their channels were high performance shortboard shredding.
Yeah.
So if it's there were very talented surfers riding maybe a finless board, or even Chippa was riding alternative shortboards. We didn't have any time for any of that. Or I would say the media didn't have time for any of that. They never showed it to you and I. So when I was growing up, maybe I would have thought that was cooler, but I just never witnessed any of it, So, maybe Andrew Kidman's Litmus showed me Tom Curran riding a fish, or Derek Hind, and I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, that's radical. I'd like to see more of that, but I don't get to see more of it. So anyway, for Sterling to embrace his new platform where he could engage with an audience directly and lampoon somebody who the surf media limelight only ever spoke glowingly of was such a contrast. And whether it was right or wrong, or there were missteps along the way, almost didn't even matter, because we just needed a contrast.
Sure.
And I feel like 10 years on now, a very short decade later, it's all the lampooning. The internet is only us waiting for opportunities to make
lampoon.
fun.
Yeah.
Because Kook Slams is more interesting than saying how great Kelly Slater is.
Yep.
Watching somebody get knocked off a rock, or a mistimed rock jump on a surfboard is more interesting. And it's better and it's more funny and it's more entertaining than trying to understand the nuance of a long form, whatever.
I'll tell you though, when it really comes together on Instagram, when Lampoon and High Performance meet, did you see that clip of Coco Ho?
Yeah.
Busting that guy for wave? Like what an epic move.
I know.
From Coco. It was like such a slick move and very funny too, the way she sends a guy right over the falls.
And absolutely embarrassing for that dude. That dude, thank goodness he wasn't tagged in the post.
Oof.
He can quietly hang his head in shame without anybody knowing who he is.
I had a couple people ask I reposted on my Instagram if it was me in the comments. And when I went back and looked at it, he is a tall, lanky man. Thankfully, it was not.
That is amazing.
But it may well have been me.
You wouldn't be surfing lowers.
I mean, for sure, it was not me. But as I looked back, I was like, ooh, that poor kook.
Well,
that poor, lanky kook.
You know what's amazing about that is a friend of mine who doesn't surf at all, but he's an adult male who for some reason is on TikTok. I think it's because he follows his kid. He just wants to track his kid's behavior. He sent me that clip from TikTok.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Because he knows I surf, and it popped into his, it's so big that it popped into his awareness, and he sent it back to me, and I'm like, that's funny.
Great clip.
Well, it
Jimmy
also
Kane.
relates to...
Bravo, Jimmy Kane.
Shockingly, you had referenced Coco Ho last week when we were talking about surfing being a meritocracy, and if you just go out there and surf the best, people will bow down, regardless of gender, race, whatever. And you used Coco Ho. You go, yeah, if Coco Ho, you said Coco Ho's paddled out at D Street and everybody got out of her way because she just demanded that it.
Which is exactly her move right there, too. It was an aggressive move.
Yeah.
It was exactly what any person who ripped would have done at that. Like, I don't even know how she did it. She like check turned under him. Did she do it on purpose?
Yeah, she was going for an off the top and he like bogged in that section.
Yeah, but she check turned in front of him and somehow... I mean, she could have got totally whacked, but she was so in control of, like a marquee athlete she is, so in control of her body that she could not only bust that guy off the wave, but then reset and go blow a sick turn on the next little section.
It was a very refined, subtle adjustment at the very last second that only a pro could have made. Because I would have plowed straight into that guy and eaten crap. Yeah,
totally. I mean, I would have, and or turned away way earlier and just been out on the shoulder yelling at him while he went and got the wave.
Exactly. No, it was beautifully executed by Coco. Shout out to Coco.
Bravo, Coco Ho.
Should we go to commercial break?
Let's do it.
All right, Chaz, we're back.
Exciting.
We've got a barrel or not, but before we do, I've got one great film recommendation for you.
Tell me, I got one for you too.
An American Pickle.
Oh, did you see it?
It's so good,
Speaking of cancelable, how did Seth Rogen not get canceled? Did you see him on who's the guy who does his podcast from his garage? Famous guy?
Mark Maron.
Mark Maron. Did you hear him on Mark Maron?
I listened to all but the last 10 minutes. I don't know what would have been cancelable.
They talked about being afraid of Jews.
Oh, yeah. It was hilarious.
It was hilarious, but it was like reading it, I was like, whoa.
Did somebody... So they posted the transcript trying to shame them for it?
It wasn't trying to shame. It was just a clickbait headline. Like, I can't remember if they whatever they focused on. It was like they didn't say it was anti-Semitic, but they used language. I was like, whoa, who's daring to do this? And then I read it and I was like, whoa, that's like taken out of context could be a real bummer.
For sure, it could be. They went hard against. They're both Jewish.
Yeah.
So they were both doing it from the nebbish Jew perspective, which is like, I don't know, Woody Allen would be the archetype for. And then saying when they were kids, there were these. James Caan was kind of the ultimate opposite of that.
Yeah.
Like the old world Jews were these like hardy, hardworking. They were going to beat the crap out of you if you didn't fall in line. And that now there aren't a lot of examples of that version of the Jew. Now it's all the nebbish, nerdy, afraid, whatever, you know? So that's the point that they were making.
Okay.
But I mean, it was hilarious. The point that they were making was they're both comedians who are very, very funny.
But just even talking about, I I don't know. It seemed, reading the transcript, I was like, ooh, like, I'm glad that people are still willing to talk about hot button or push hot buttons.
Well, I mean, I guess they can do it because they're both Jewish.
Yeah, but I feel that I don't know that excuses anymore in this day and age as much as it used to. You used to be able to, because I am this, I can say this.
The other thing is the group that you're making fun of has to actually care to cancel you.
Yeah.
I don't see Jewish people as really being that whiny. Like, they honestly have, who has ever been more, what's the word that I'm looking for? As a people. Oppressed. Who has ever been more oppressed than the Jewish? They have been people have tried to literally extinguish them.
Multiple occasions.
And over and over
On
and
multiple
over.
occasions.
And even still, they are not trying to be extinguished, but they're being made fun of in modern culture all the time,
Does Seth Rogen play a Jewish man in American Pickle, or does he play...
The exact thing that they're talking about, James Caan versus Woody Allen, is kind of the premise of the film.
Okay.
So he plays two people. He plays an old world Jew from the 1800s who makes his way, I think, from Poland, digging ditches. Like his greatest, literally in the movie, his greatest hope as this old Jewish dude from Poland is to try sparkling water. He's hoping that if he digs enough ditches, that he'll save enough money to to feel bubbles on his tongue. So he makes his way to Brooklyn, New York in the 1800s, works in a pickle factory killing rats, and accidentally falls into a vat of pickles that gets sealed, and he gets pickled for 150 years. And some kids in this find the abandoned pickle factory in 2020, or maybe 2019, and bust open this barrel of pickles, and he's still alive. So there's this 150-year-old pickled Jewish man with all of the worldview that you would have from Poland in that era, who is reanimated in modern society. And it's a big press story and all that sort of stuff. And the modern media finds his one living ancestor is modern day Seth Rogen playing him. Essentially, he's not playing himself, but he's playing a version of himself. So Seth Rogen's playing both characters, and he is like an app developer in Brooklyn who's super woke and like has never, felt any hot temperature or cold temperature, brews his own French press at home every morning and all of that stuff. So it's their worlds colliding, and it's really a story of family legacy of like him finally understanding all the hard work that his ancestors did. And by the way, his ancestors were only ever saving money to create a better world for and then they end up doing battle and fighting one another, and it's really, really good.
Okay.
An American Pickle. It's on HBO.
Okay. Excited.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah. It's also what made me think about you passing on your family legacy name.
Yeah. Done.
What's Hemingway's last name?
Smith.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So she can carry the name on.
She'll carry it on, but yeah, she'll do what she wants. I mean, my wife is still Wallace.
Yeah.
So we have a deal where I have to make more money than her. She is trying to say it's like over a year, I think. My deal is no, I make more money than you in one calendar month, then you change your last name to Cersei Smith. Yeah.
Oh, that's the wager?
That's the wager.
Well, you have to decide whether it's a year or a month. And it just has to be any given year or any given month.
Yes.
Okay. You just have to beat her once.
Once. I have to beat her once.
Man. You beat her for 1 month she'll change her name permanently.
Permanently. She disagrees on the month, but I'm convinced that it was a month. Our initial wager.
Okay. So when was the wager made? Pre-marriage?
Yeah. I mean, we only knew each other for like a couple weeks before we got married, but it was in one of those weeks, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your recommendation? Film recommendation.
I mean, mine's not. I think it's Hiri or Haji Giri. I think is what it's called.
Don't know it.
Phenomenal. It's a BBC series.
Okay.
So like, kind of BBC-ish, like, how BBC always feels a certain way.
Yeah.
Like the camera angle is, but it's, Yeah, it's just a Japanese about the Yakuza and British underworld crime. And so half of it's in Japanese, or more than half probably. But it's, half Tokyo, half London. It's phenomenal. A phenomenal series.
Is it new?
No, I think it's newish, but it's one of those ones. I think it's on Hulu. Hulu maybe? Can't remember.
Multiple seasons available?
Yeah, just one. So
Okay.
it must be new. Yeah, it's newish, but really, really good. A fascinating look at both, great crime story, but fascinating look at both kind of Yakuza crime stuff and, British underworld.
I'm never going to remember that name.
Hajigiri.
What does that mean?
I can't remember what it is. Hajigiri, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Yakuza thing is super interesting as a
fascinating.
subculture.
So fascinating. The shame and whatnot, like you got to cut your own guts open if you do something bad. Like all of it is the way. Yeah, it's like they'll just throw a sword at you. You'll go in there and commit suicide with.
Did you ever see Only God Forgives, that Ryan Gosling movie?
Yeah.
First time I watched it, didn't get it at all. I was bored out of my mind. And then I rewatched it on a plane within the last year. Like knowing I'd be like stuck on a plane. I can't look at my phone or be distracted. I rewatched it. It was excellent.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
The director of that is the same guy that did Drive, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal director.
Nicholas
Winding Redfern or something.
Yeah, Nicholas Winding Refn or Nicholas Refn Winding. I forget which sequence they come in.
Yeah.
All right, barrel or nah?
Let's do it.
I gave this one to Devin last week, but it was designed for you.
Okay.
Hickeys.
Oh, nah.
Why?
Well, they're just like the pleasure to embarrassment ratio is so far out of whack as to make the entire thing bizarre, which I guess I should like them because they're bizarre. But giving a hickey or getting a hickey, fine enough. Nothing real wrong with it. But then wearing that scarlet H on your neck for the 3 to 5 days, like when you walk in somewhere, when you go somewhere and see a man or a woman like festooned with hickey, what do you think? Do you think, oh, that person's having fun? Or do you think, what a wacko?
So you're looking at this through a 16-year-old Chaz's eyes because that's the last time you even thought about it.
Yeah.
But if I see that now and it's on an adult male.
Male.
I showed up and Matt Parker was here at Album Surfboards getting out of his car.
Matt had hickeys?
No, but if he did, I would have been like, Matt, wow, your wife is passionate. Good on you. First of all, you're getting laid as an adult with a bunch of kids who's super busy. So good for you for finding the time. Secondly, that is a passionate, that isn't just like, let's get the act done. That is a passionate love making. I am impressed.
What if you did not know Matt Parker though? So you don't know.
I'm impressed, dude. He's a grown ass man getting
a grown man
sucked on by his wife.
Well, what if you don't know if he's married?
By any woman. That's amazing as a grown ass man. Like, I think if you're in, so I developed this thought with Devin. So for listeners, this might be a restating, but if you're in high school, it's barrel because it means you hooked up, which is a rarity in high school.
Sure.
If you're in college age, that's embarrassing, like you said. But once you kind of go, let's say beyond 30, I think it becomes barrel again because taking the time to indulge in that level of passion is a real luxury.
It's true, but does not it show some kind of stunted understanding of passion?
No, I don't think it does.
You don't think so? You think the hickey as a passion move is like, where do you rank it in terms of tricks of the trade?
I've ended up with a couple in my life, and I've probably given a couple, none of which were intentional nor just for the show. Okay. Like they weren't for the hickey. It's just in the heat of passion.
Just accidentally.
You don't know what you're doing. And then afterwards you're like, oh shoot, that's going to leave a mark. Like, yeah. And I'm going to have to deal with this at work for the next few days or whatever. So if it was just for the sake of leaving the mark, that's stupid, obviously. But if it happens in the throes of passion, I'm barrel.
I'm going to say there's still too many questions. If I see a grown man walking around with a hickey, I might also think, oh, this guy's seeing young girls. Unfortunate. That's what there would be a thought that
That'd be problematic.
It'd be a thought that would flit. There's too many variables. That's what I'm saying. That's why I can't go the barrel.
What if he's the one coming up to knock on your house to let you know that he's a sex offender?
Exactly. Then I would completely be unsurprised. Like when he said, "Hi, I'm here to introduce myself," I would cut him off at the pass. Say, "I can see. I know."
What if he is a public urinal? What if you're in San Diego walking past an alley at the gas lamp in the downtown, and there's a public urinator exiting the alley, and he has a hickey?
Then he's guaranteed. He is a double sex offender.
Yeah, that'd be a problem.
Oh.
So the pivot in the conversation with Devin, which I would like to have you weigh in on, is when was the last time you actually made out with your wife? I'm talking make out.
Just kissing. Like,
yeah, but like impassioned kissing.
Are you saying that leads to something else?
I want to say no, it doesn't lead to something else.
It's just about the kiss.
I mean, honestly, that's kind of a conversation too, because even if you're going to have sex, do you make out before? Sometimes you don't, you know? So, but let's throw sex out the window. Just made out with your wife for the sake of making out.
Say 3 days ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? And who instigated?
I think she did. It was like midday, just hanging out. And yeah, she just walked over and planted one. And then we,
Is it a regular occurrence?
It is regular enough. Like it is not an odd occurrence.
Okay, good for you.
So it's not daily or even weekly, but it's certainly not, it's less than monthly. Or more than monthly.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people don't.
Yeah. Do you?
I absolutely do, but I'm in a newish relationship.
Sure.
So, those things tend to fall off at the 1 year mark, let's say.
I think it is so important to keep the fires burning.
I'm all about it.
Oh.
There's no quicker way to stimulate that kind of, or to shake up the day. If your day is bogged down by work, bogged down by traffic, bogged down by monotony of what you do every single day, there's no quicker way to tap into that lust.
I think people who wait for it to hit them too, end up waiting longer and longer and longer. At some point, you just gotta say, I don't feel like doing this, but man, I'm gonna go plant one.
Well,
there you go.
The longer you wait, the more awkward things become as well. Yeah.
Just everything just seizes right up.
We have a puppy in the house.
Ooh, you have a COVID puppy,
which is so awesome.
Yeah.
And exciting and adds like a lot of thrill to every single day. But she gets so jealous if she sees Lauren and I making out or doing anything affectionate at all. She needs all of the attention on her. And as soon as like Lauren, and she's very cuddly, by the way, the dog is, which is great. And so we'll give her a ton of attention, but we can give her 30 minutes of attention. And then Lauren and I lean in for a kiss. She'll jump up to our faces and lick in between us to try to make it up.
What kind of dog is it?
Black lab.
You know what black labs are good for?
What?
A little rib kick. So next time that happens, just a playful little kick to the midsection.
When she's acting up?
Just if she's trying to get in the way of your game.
To reprimand.
Not a reprimand, just a fun little playful boom. Give it a go.
Was that our first episode?
It was one of them. It's so funny because I bring it up regularly enough, knowing that it's such a dang hot button, and I can't stop myself from encouraging kicking dogs.
Dude, when you did bring it up, I almost missed it. I think I did kind of miss it because you brought it up and it was, I thought it was like so outlandish. There's no point in really even like counter arguing you or even addressing it. Like, let's move on. And then I got so much feedback. My mom listened to the episode and she was so angry at you. And I'm like, he said that? No, that's not what he meant. Right. Like, and people still reference it, which is amazing. Yeah. So, all right. Well, hickeys, nah. Making out with your wife, barrel.
Yes.
Okay. Barrel or nah? Birthday song. The birthday song.
Like which one? Like
singing people happy birthday. Because when we were coming in here last week, Devin goes, dude, we're going to give him gifts. There's no way I'm engaging in the birthday song. And I'm like, well, we'll see what happens. I almost wanted to make him uncomfortable by trying to make him sing it. But you experienced your birthday this last week. Do you want people to sing to you? Do you like singing for other people?
No, I got 0 birthday songs, thankfully. Not once over the birthday turned into like a 4-day sort of, because of the sailing and the whatnot, and not once. And no, I mean, that song is an awful one to sing. Happy birthday to you. The way it goes into the higher keys. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, dear. There's no way to do it unless you go, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birth. Nobody ever hits that note. It's the worst. And the person who loves to showcase their singing ability, happy birthday.
Yeah.
The guy who like kicks
or
the
they
next
want to
note.
stand out from the harmony.
Totally. Happy birthday. It's the worst. It is the worst in every context. It made me happy when that song was copyrighted. You knew that it was. That's why why TGI Fridays.
I
or all
didn't know that.
Oh yeah, it was copyrighted, and so that's why there was all those dumb, stupid California Pizza Kitchen. Why they all had their own version of singing you happy birthday. It's because they legally could not sing happy birthday to you, but a court case, I think a couple years ago, said no. In fact, this happy birthday song is in the public domain.
Yeah.
So whoever was somebody was just making piles of cash off the happy birthday song for the last 100 years.
Who would pay them?
Like if somebody really wanted to use it in a movie and didn't want to use the, fake happy birthday one, then they would get paid. If, if somebody had to sing it at a event or whatever, I mean, theoretically was supposed to pay. Yeah. So I think millions upon millions of dollars dried
honestly,
up overnight.
They probably bought that trademark or patent just to retroactively sue all the movie studios that had used it previously and all the restaurants that had been using it. They just thought this patent's going to cost me $10 million. If we send out 100 lawsuits and beg for 15 million each, they'll pay me $5 million each. I'll double my money, maybe, or triple.
I think whoever it was, I think it had the patent though, or the trademark or whatever for years and years and years and years. It was like hundreds of. I mean, I think it was like 100 years.
Oh wow!
But now we can sing it. We can sing it on the show. Previously, before this case, if we would have sang it on the show, we would have got or could have got dinged with infringement.
Well, Happy Birthday song is so not Beryl. If I never sing it again, I'll be fine. If I never hear it again, I'll be fine.
Oh, yeah.
If I'm ever in a restaurant and it breaks up my intimate dinner or my conversation because everybody's doing it, I should be happy for that person. I don't care. As we've discussed in the past, every single human being that's ever been born has a birthday, including Charles Manson and Hitler and everybody else. So who gives a crap? Like, I'm over celebrating this thing, and the song itself, it's annoying.
A hideous song.
It's super annoying. As a song, melodically, sonically, it's a terrible song.
And it's, again, a song nobody can sing well. I mean, Mariah Carey can sing it fine enough, but even the best version of it ever is ugly.
Yeah.
It's an ugly song.
All right, so everybody who's listening to this, let's all start a boycott.
If we start
no more Happy Birthday.
If we start a boycott on the birthday song, I bet it could. That's something that could really catch fire.
I think so too.
It's
canceled. Birthday song is canceled.
It's a unifying position.
It really is.
White men can agree. White women can agree. Black men can agree. Black women can agree. Everyone can agree. It's a trans welcome. This is the biggest tent ever, the anti-birthday party.
I don't think anybody would even fight for it. I can't imagine one person who would be like, oh, I love that song. Like, it's my favorite song to sing.
We should make a political party called the Anti-Birthday Party. And
appeals to everybody.
It's the biggest tent. It is the political party. The one thing is, there's like a couple principles. Birthdays aren't important. A couple tenets. Birthdays aren't that important. The birthday song is unallowed. That's mostly it for the Anti-Birthday Party.
They'll be like, what's your policy on immigration? Do not care.
Yeah.
We're just canceling the song.
The song.
We need to get into office to cancel the song.
And if we get into biggest tent of all, everybody, register for the Anti-Birthday Party.
I like it.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
in.
good.
All right, we're going nah. Hard nah.
Hard nah, and not only that, the dawn of a new political movement.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
Perfect.
Barrel or nah? Gambling.
Big barrel. Even though I'm horrible at it. Yeah. I love gambling. I love the idea of it. I love every part of it. I personally do not gamble. I am so poor at gambling, and also I don't have the brain for it. Like I can't, seeing those kinds of angles, I'm not good at. So for example, if we go to Las Vegas, the wife and I, and plop down at the blackjack table, I like it. I like the thrill. I like the beating heart. The wife will inevitably look at me after a couple hands and be so annoyed, and the whole table will be looking at me so annoyed because I don't play the book. I'm thinking, what the heck? If this is gambling, I'm playing my gut, right? Like even if I have a 10 and a 10,
hit me.
I'm going for 21, man. I got a good feeling that next card is a 1. And then my wife's like, you're screwing it for everyone. You play the book. Well, what's the fun of, we could all be robots then if we're playing the book.
Yeah.
Roulette, I love the bouncing ball. I lose every time. Sports gambling, I love. Every time I have a can't miss feeling on a game, I lose. So I'm the world's worst gambler, but I feel that gambling makes everything better. Particularly sport, but if you can gamble on something, that thing all of a sudden is going to be better.
It absolutely raises the stakes.
Yeah.
I mean, it does make things more fun.
Yeah.
I don't have the stomach for it.
Have you surf gambled? I wish so bad. Beach Grit has had multiple rounds of talks to actually make a good gambling part of the site. I mean, where people can really wager. Imagine how fun it would be to be able to wager for a surf contest if they ever come back again, like in real time with people, in the Beach Grit community.
For years, we were doing like a fantasy surfer kind of group, and I think everybody put in $10, and the winner takes all. And there was 25 people, 30 people, so it'd be $200, $300, and it was fun. But God, there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's like you could know more about surfing than anybody and fail miserably at it. It's really. And again, at $10, I can handle that, but I don't have the stomach for like sitting down at a blackjack table with hundreds of dollars.
Do you ever do it?
Never.
You've never once sat down at a blackjack table and
I've done it once
and through a couple $100.
Not a couple $100. I've done it more than once and I never enjoy it. The anxiety is too much for me. Did you see Uncut Gems?
I haven't. Even the trailer seems so anxiety ridden.
Dude, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It is so anxiety riddled.
Just stressed through the entire thing.
And it's him gambling the whole time. It's him like
trying to get right.
Getting a stone that he's going to make more money than he's ever made on. And he could just stick with that. But he pawns it to try to get money, cash, to go do this other thing to make more money. And then that failed. And the whole time he's just trying to, rob from Peter to pay Paul and make himself whole. And that's how I feel about all of gambling, basically.
And that's how my old cousin Danny got into bank robbing, is from gambling.
But I do love the idea.
It's great.
Like that, we were talking about the lot. I was talking with my dad about the lottery a week or two ago. And I've only maybe bought 5 lotto tickets in my life. And those were the greatest few days of my life because I spent $1 and I got to fantasize about earning $300 million for 3 days.
And you watched when it came to the moment to watch the numbers being called? I
think I woke up the next morning and checked on the internet to see if I won. But the 3 days of fantasy was so well worth the $1 admission price.
Sure.
And I never thought I was going to win. But the fantasy of what would you do with $300 million?
Because there's always a chance.
Somebody has to win.
I mean, there's always a chance. That's a crazy thing. I mean, it's, what is it, Dumb and Dumber?
So you're telling me there's a chance.
Exactly. Which no matter how bad the odds are, if there's a chance, you're telling me there's a chance.
That eternal optimism, is worth $1.
Completely.
But the gambling for me is kind of a gnaw because if you ever go to Vegas, so many of the people you see are down on their luck.
Sure.
And they shouldn't be spent. The money that they're spending right now is their rent.
But nowhere, it's funny. I used to hate Vegas with not a burning hate, but I did not care for Vegas. I absolutely love Vegas now. I almost couldn't love Vegas more. I fantasize about sometimes moving to Las Vegas is how much I love Las Vegas. Yeah.
No way.
And I don't gamble. Literally, I'll just walk through the casino. I mean, I talk about the time that I or the times I play blackjack. That's like 4 times in my life. Like, but just strolling through a casino, for some reason, I feel like $1,000,000. And maybe it's because I don't have the urge to spend my rent money. So just like,
yeah,
it just is this sea
There's
of
a
people.
glamour. There's a glamour to it.
Yeah, it's not even so like, I'm not even getting off on the glamour or on people's like, oh, I'm not burning my money like these people. I have no idea. There's something about the energy in Vegas that I enjoy.
Well, for anybody who is into gambling that thinks that, like, that's the other thing. People that are into it always tell you that they
gamble
they have a system for how they win.
Yeah.
And the funniest one is the slots.
Yeah.
They'll be like, oh no, I know which machines are going to hit when, and I'm working the slots. And it's literally a machine that is designed to make money.
Yeah.
It's running on an equation or an algorithm, and it's designed to make money. And here's the proof. Every year they build more casinos. If you go down the Vegas Strip, they build bigger, more expensive, multi-billion-dollar buildings. And that's not because they're losing money.
When was the last time you were in Vegas?
5 years, I'd say.
If you went home today and Lauren said, pack the car, I have an itch, we're going to Vegas, would you be excited? Would you think that's weird? Would you think, okay?
I think she and I feel the same way about Vegas, so she wouldn't really pitch that idea, but I'll play your game. If we agreed, let's go for 24 hours and do it as a novelty.
Sure.
Let's come up with a number of money we're comfortable losing, take that cash out of the ATM, and that's what we're going to lose this weekend. And we're going to dress up, drink a lot, eat at a fancy restaurant, maybe see a show, and live it up. And as a novelty, then I'm fine with that.
Okay.
I'd be okay with that.
You're not into it as a lifestyle choice.
Well, if she goes, hey, we're going to go and let's double our money and let's really strategically figure out how to come back richer than we are now.
How fun would that be?
I would be like, that's never going to happen. We're going to come home depressed, yelling at each other.
But what
because we're going to lose.
See, but that's a defeatist attitude. What if she said, let's really sort it out? These are games. There's angles everywhere. Let's choose the one with the highest percentage chance of winning. Let's really get good. Let's practice for the week leading up to it, et cetera, et
It's not
cetera.
my idea of fun. I don't want to be reading books on poker for the week and going out there and feeling the anxiety.
Do you know how to play poker?
Yeah.
Like good?
I'm pretty bad at it. I have a group of dudes. We're getting together tomorrow. We get together about every other month for a game, but it's mainly to eat and drink.
Yeah.
It's a wine tasting, we pick a wine theme, and that's really the focus, but we do play poker, and it's a $40 buy-in, and it lasts 5 hours. So $40 lasts 5 hours, and it's worth the price of admission for $40. But, my win record, we've been doing it 10 years, and I'd say the amount of nights that I've won over the course of 10 years is maybe 10%.
I have absolutely no idea how to play poker.
Okay.
I mean, I know that there's a full house and a straight and a royal flush and all that. I kind of basically have no idea what those are or how to collect them. I know none of it.
You should come play with us. Bring $40.
I mean, I'll just, yeah. My brain is so bad. It's like poker was designed to confound my personal brain.
Yeah.
Like remembering things and knowing things are not things that I am good at.
Yeah.
Remembering and knowing.
Good. Yeah, I could see why your wife doesn't want you at the table in Vegas. All right, so gambling, you're going barrel.
Huge barrel.
I'm going nah, except for look, if you could do it responsibly and live in that thrill of the fantasy, go for it. I don't trust that people do it responsibly.
Okay.
I think the vast majority of gamblers are doing it irresponsibly.
Irresponsible gambling.
This is a stereotype that I'm willing to make on the podcast. I have a buddy who does have an addiction problem, but one time he hit it big and earned, I want to say it was $60,000, but it might have been $80,000.
Nice.
And
on what?
Poker.
Okay.
Texas Hold'em in a Hawaiian Gardens casino.
Ooh.
Like inland, crappy, seedy, scary. And he would play there pretty regularly. And one night he won that big, and he called me the next morning with that much cash on his kitchen table. And they only gave him, I think, 10 grand that night, and they walked him to his car. But he came back the next day, and they gave him the full amount. And he was getting married in a couple of months, so it paid for the wedding and then some. And it was a real problem for him because he then chased that high for the next 10 years of like, dude, I won big once. I'm coming back to win more.
Man.
And even that morning when he called me, I said, well, this is amazing, but I don't want to burst your bubble. Like, over the course of your life of gambling, are you up or are you down? He goes, I'm probably still down.
Yeah.
Like this 60 or 80,000 bucks doesn't actually win my money back, but it feels gosh darn good.
The feeling of that would be pretty epic.
Yeah.
Yep.
So anyways, thanks Album Surfboards for hosting our podcast that isn't about surfing.
Finest surf shop in all of San Clemente.
And it's not air conditioned, but we got a nice little breeze on this super hot day.
It has been so incredibly hot. You got surf though. I think we have surf now too today. Yeah.
Finally. So at any rate, albumsurf.com. Chas Smith is at beachgrit.com. At Surf Journalist is his Instagram if you want to wish him a happy birthday.
Come on in, sing.
Sing him the song.
Yep.
Record it, send it in the DMs. All right, and until next week, Chas.
Get barrel.